Blake Lively is suing Justin Baldoni over claims of a toxic workplace, but new allegations suggest she may have fostered one herself. Former employees of her now defunct lifestyle brand Preserve are speaking out, and they're describing a chaotic, underfunded, and allegedly abusive workplace where her brother, Eric Lively, held a key leadership role. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's team is quietly breaking their silence through a family friend, giving us some insight into how he's actually doing during this legal storm. And did Colleen Hoover just drop a subtle Easter egg revealing whose side she's actually on? Stick around to the end of this video because we're going to dive into more of what she's been up to along with the rest of the cast of It Ends With Us, and if they've really been so silent or if they've been giving us subtle hints along the way. We've got a lot to get to, so let's get started. Before we dive in, welcome back to Ashley B TV. I'm a former TV news reporter who takes you behind the headlines. If you're new, join our fellow beekeepers in the hive, subscribe to the channel, help us reach our next goal of 10,000 subscribers. It's been great to connect with all of you guys. Some of you have asked, where have you been? And the truth is, I've been an actress in Hollywood for over 10 years and a TV news reporter, and you can't really do deep dives like this when you're actually in the industry. That's why it's so fun to connect with all of you guys and to bring all of my knowledge covering all of these things in the past and my knowledge of working in Hollywood for over a decade to our YouTube channel, where nowadays you can speak freely. And this channel is all about thoughtful deep dives and commentary. So if you like that style, if you like going further, again, behind the headlines, then this is definitely the safe space for you. Without further ado, let's get into this story. What was this company that Blake Lively owned? What was happening? And what are these bombshell allegations? So this was just dropped by the Daily Mail. It's now behind a paywall. Page 6 also picked it up, but I've investigated, and so far no other outlets have picked up this story. So I find that very interesting. So Blake Lively launched this company called Preserve. And for those of you who've been following this case and know Blake Lively, she's seemingly obsessed with the Antebellum type of Southern culture. And she launched this company that was supposed to be an answer to basically Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, which has been somewhat successful, wildly overpriced with what they promote, but it's a curated lifestyle brand focused on artisanal goods and storytelling. It honestly kind of reminds me of Meghan Markle's new brand. We're also going to dive more into her brand because I've been investigating that. So definitely hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for that investigation. But the company shut down within a year, and you have to wonder why. Well, in her own words, Blake told Vogue in 2015, quote, "We launched the site before it was ready and it never caught up to its original mission." Now, 9 years later, whistleblowers from the company are now dropping these bombshells. According to the Daily Mail, 6 employees are now speaking out anonymously because they apparently signed NDAs at the time and paid to keep quiet. But they're telling the Daily Mail now in 2025 that it was, quote, "insane, emotionally draining, and toxic, like a nightmare, the most traumatic job I've ever had." Now, according to this report, the infrastructure was essentially non-existent. They said, we, quote, "sat on a floor for a really long time. It took them a long time to get furniture." This is a company by Blake Lively. Then why wouldn't you have furniture? It was also apparently run out of her brother Eric Lively's studio apartment that he owned in Manhattan, where he allegedly drank alcohol, smoked pot, frequently left staff out in the cold where he overslept and forced them to work sitting on the floor for months before buying furniture. Now, to have a company under your name like Blake Lively, why in the world would you be running a company out of a studio apartment? I mean, that just screams lawsuit in and of itself. So not only is your leader, Eric Lively, running this out of a studio apartment, which is already raising red flags, but there's also a bed in it where he apparently would sleep at many nights. And he was married at the time. He got married in 2005. So it's like, why are you sleeping at this Manhattan studio apartment? You have to also envision a studio apartment in Manhattan. I mean, the bed is clearly in front of everyone. You have a bed, but you don't have furniture. Like, why did you think to get a bed instead of chairs for your employees? Also, at that time, there were places like WeWork and professional places you could rent out to have employees that would have been 10 times more appropriate than renting out a studio apartment. I mean, this whole company raises red flags from the beginning. And that's not all. Three of the staffers also told the Daily Mail that he had an affair with one of the employees. Talk about toxic workplace. And one staffer says, quote, the entire company was an absolute disaster. Now, why is this being brought up now? Well, the workplace allegations that Blake is making now, this is from a staffer, are deeply ironic given that it was one of the most insane, toxic, emotionally draining, and disorganized environments you can imagine. When you're a celebrity, or anyone for that matter, running a company, whether you're the one that's in the office day in and day out or not, your brand, your name, your face is on that product. You are going to be the one held accountable for those actions. Like Blake Lively is the one who's been telling us Justin Baldoni should be held accountable because he's the one who ran the set. Now, according to the report, they sat on the floor for a really long time. They didn't get furniture. A staffer also says, we quote, we were literally using the wall as a desk. I wish I was exaggerating. And employees are also alleging financial neglect. One employee says he couldn't even afford his Metro card because he wasn't paid on time. They claim they waited for months to be paid or reimbursed, oftentimes working overtime. Well, why didn't these employees take legal action? They did. Several employees were asked to sign NDAs, and at least two former staffers received settlements as high as $300,000 after threatening legal action. So Blake Lively paid them off to stay silent, which is ironic because she's telling us right now that you shouldn't stay silent when you have a toxic and abusive workplace, but apparently she's the one who created a workplace that essentially was just like that. And staffers explained in this Daily Mail article that it was so wild and ironic that you're creating this lifestyle brand that's promoting this elevated lifestyle and culture. And they say Blake Lively was barely even there. And when she would come in for photo shoots and things like that, all she would do is add accessories. Ex-employee says, quote, the impression Blake left on me after I worked at Preserve is that she doesn't really care. It was a really toxic work environment. All of them were forced to sign NDAs, and her publicist, Leslie Sloan, who is currently in all this legal drama with Justin Baldoni, they say shut it down. They buried every single thing from that company. And people like that can scrub the internet, and they can do it very well when you have that kind of money. Preserve had a promising beginning, says the Daily Mail. They partnered with a successful Los Angeles marketing businesswoman who helped launch them with a phenomenal marketing. I didn't even hear about this company. Did you guys hear about this company in 2014? Let me know in the comments below. But blog posts were essentially promoting a glossy website, promoting earthy recipes and artisanal apparel, Polaroid professional snaps of Blake. And the page proclaimed, quote, we believe that nurturing a better tomorrow upholds the yesterday we cherish for all of us. What's so disgusting about this is that we constantly see that fans buy into celebrity products because they trust that celebrity. Like if you are a fan of a certain celebrity, then a product they put out already has your buy-in. You're already interested in it because you trust that celebrity. So when we're finding out more and more behind the headlines and behind the scenes of Hollywood of all these wrongdoings, and it seems like the last 5 years essentially has been exposure after exposure of what's actually going on behind the scenes, you start to see like you really can't trust headlines. You can't trust everything you see. You do have to question things. You can't necessarily trust what celebrities are telling you. You do have to dive deeper behind the scenes. If you have a gut check and you're like, this just doesn't sit well with me, which is what I've been investigating into Meghan Markle's brand, like something about it just does not sit well with me. And I've been doing a lot of investigations on that, so stay tuned. But if something doesn't sit well with you, you have to question, why doesn't it sit well with me? And is there something that is missing from this article? And what is the angle of this article? And you also have to start thinking, how is this outlet reporting on this particular person? If you see time and time again that an outlet is just promoting good things about that person, then the outlet is biased. And we've seen in a couple pieces that certain outlets are only reporting good things about Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, about certain people. They want to stay in good standing with them. They know they're going to be at their next red carpet in a year from now, and they have to be the ones that are getting that interview. They're not going to get that interview if they're reporting bad things. But unfortunately, it creates a world of corruption where the news isn't supposed to be biased like this. The news isn't supposed to be picking and choosing what they want to cover among these celebrities. Who was Eric Lively even? Well, Eric was a handsome Hollywood actor, according to the Daily Mail. He was most notable for his 1999 Disney Channel show, So Weird. I did watch that show. I don't remember him. The L Word, Full House, and American Pie. His career did not soar. His last on-screen role was in 2014, and he filed bankruptcy in 2009. Staffers say he was, quote, unqualified to run a company, and he hired 8 young people in their early 20s, putting a lot of pressure on them to execute his ideas. So it apparently started at Phenomenon's LA offices and then moved to his studio apartment. One staffer says it was a big studio, but there wasn't a delineation between living quarters and working quarters. That is so odd that the bed was in the same room. I can't get over that. Another staffer says we'd get to the office and it would smell like weed. It was clear he partied the night before. They also added that he had a lot of mood swings and whims, and you never really knew what you were going to get. They say he was angry a lot. You had to walk on eggshells. Another staffer says there was not a sane mind watching over us. And if you look at the timeline, this company was launched in 2014. You could say, well, she was still on Gossip Girl. No, Gossip Girl ended in 2012. And if you look at Blake's credits during that time, she actually really wasn't doing anything that year. According to her IMDb, in 2014, she was a part of a Beyonce music video, and then Age of Adeline came out in 2015. So she could have been filming Age of Adeline the previous year while this was all going down. It doesn't clarify where she was, but it says she was pretty much nowhere to be seen. They said she'd show up to photo shoots and help with accessories, but that was about it. And if you're going to run a company, this is definitely not the way you do it. It's interesting that none of us even really knew about this company or what was going on behind the scenes because of all of the NDAs. If this doesn't scream, this will eventually catch up to you, I don't know what does. If you have 6 employees speaking out, I don't see how other outlets can avoid this story. It'll be really interesting. You'll have to keep an eye out to see if other outlets end up reporting on this, because this is a huge bombshell for Blake to be running a company like this. I mean, apparently she wasn't really there most of the time, but it's your name on it. You're the one appointing your brother in charge. And if it was this toxic and abusive, this has got to get out to other outlets. So if other outlets end up not reporting on this, that'll be really interesting to take note of. Now, the Daily Mail reports that Blake also claimed the launch of her business was rushed in order to be featured in the August 2014 edition of the Vogue magazine. But if it was so rushed, then why wasn't Blake Lively actually there? And all of these celebrity-run companies, you have to ask yourself, how much are the celebrities actually involved? Or are they just slapping their name on it? The staffers also told the Daily Mail that they felt very compelled to speak out, especially since her claims of sexual harassment and a toxic work environment, given that she ran a company. Staffer says, quote, it's so ironic that she filed a workplace lawsuit when her workplace had 3 legal claims. 3 out of roughly 8 employees made legal claims. Another staffer says she was always very nice to me, but you would think that for somebody so concerned with their image and their narrative, there would have been more care taken to make sure things were professional. And again, we have to hold these people accountable, put their feet under the fire for how they're running companies if they're then claiming that another person isn't running their company well. It's like, well, let's take a look at your own company. Adding to that toxic environment, a staffer says, quote, Eric would openly flirt with staff, even some who were visibly uncomfortable, and no one ever intervened. Let's dive deeper into Blake Lively's apparent obsession with the Antebellum South. So in 2014, Preserve ran a blog post titled The Allure of Antebellum, glamorizing the pre-Civil War South. According to Vox, the article described Southern Belle as a, quote, woman who cultivated beauty and social distinction with grace. The post made no mention of slavery, and critics immediately slammed the piece as tone-deaf and dangerously nostalgic. As Fox put it, quote, celebrates the aesthetic of a time period inseparable from the enslavement of Black people. We also saw her obsession with the Antebellum South with her own wedding being on Boone Hall Plantation, and her and Ryan Reynolds claiming they had no idea it was a plantation until years later. One former employee told Reality T she's, quote, painting herself as the survivor of toxicity, but we lived through it under her leadership. Meanwhile, a close friend to Justin Baldoni tells People in an exclusive interview that he's, quote, feeling the financial and emotional weight of his legal battle with Blake Lively. People are coming out saying, well, how is he feeling the financial pressure of this legal battle if his billionaire backer, Steve Sorowitz, is the one paying all of his legal fees? And you have to remember that Justin Baldoni has projects pulled from him. And I honestly don't know, with how fickle Hollywood is, even if he wins this case, it feels like he's not going to get a lot of opportunities in Hollywood because it's a liability issue. I mean, it's a huge liability issue for her, but a lot of people in Hollywood could view this whole situation as a liability issue when it comes to insurance. They just don't want to deal with it. They'd rather hire someone else if they can. And this is going to have a huge financial impact on Justin Baldoni's life and career. He's, quote, leaning on a tight circle of loyal friends with the legal back and forth. We haven't really seen him on social media besides that Mother's Day post shouting out his mother and his wife. And, quote, the lawsuit drama is causing stress for both of them, but their marriage is solid. They're actually closer than ever. He married his wife in 2013, so they've been together for, I'm not good at math, that's why I don't do math, but what, 12 years? Now, the family friend tells People that Justin is a, quote, very positive guy and believes things will work out for the best. People also said that a Hollywood source, so they're acting like this is a different source than that family friend source, says that Baldoni isn't worried about finances or career prospects amid the fallout. He is, quote, very confident in his legal team. And I'm sure he is very confident in Brian Friedman. He's no new lawyer on the block, but I'm sure there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure. He apparently is still in Hawaii, so you have to imagine how much that's costing for his family not to be in Los Angeles. He can't just roam the streets of Los Angeles right now. He would be completely bombarded by paparazzi, not to mention his wife and his kids. So they're in Hawaii, and so far as we know, people have been staying at his house from the LA fires. I don't know if they're still there because a lot of people have returned to their homes or are staying somewhere else, but they could still have people staying at their house. There's just a lot going on. It's interesting to read the comments when it comes to what article is being put out by which publication, because the majority of people, it seems like, at least from what we're intaking, seem to be on Team Baldoni, but there are a number of Blake apologists who are defending her and Ryan no matter what. This People reader says, this exclusive combined with so many comments from the Baldoni bots makes me realize Baldoni feels like he's losing the war. There's a tinge of desperation to all of his moves lately. He really wants to win over People readers, real ones. It ain't working, dude. And I would ask this reader, is there really a tinge of desperation when it comes to all of the moves he's making lately? Because I haven't really seen any moves that Justin Baldoni has been making. In fact, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have been out every single night, and people are reporting on that, and they like the headlines. They're driving up the headlines. They're promoting their products. So everything that Blake Lively is doing when she claims that her career has gone downhill from this lawsuit and she's losing so much money hasn't necessarily been what she's demonstrating online in all of her daily photo shoots and all of her outings. I'm someone who craves the facts, and that's why I love diving deeper on this channel for facts. And it's really interesting because people all over the internet, there is a portion of people who are like myself and they love facts. And they like analyzing things and making their own judgments. But then there are people that no matter what you say, no matter what facts you present, who you interview, whatever it is, they're just going to take a side. And you have to understand that that's obviously the public opinion for you. Like, there are some people that are diehards and they're going to back these celebrities no matter what. But I challenge my viewers on this channel to question everything. We love truth on this channel and we try not to take sides in cases. But when the evidence presents itself over and over again, we're obviously going to lean towards the evidence and lean towards the facts and the truth. But if Blake Lively ends up having these smoking guns that she alleges that they're going to bring with Sony producers backing her and people on set backing her, then we're obviously going to continue to take deeper looks at all of this because this channel stands for the truth and we're going to report on things no matter what. Many of you asked in the comments to investigate what are the other actors doing from It Ends With Us? Why aren't they speaking out? Where is Colleen Hoover? What is she doing? Colleen Hoover just gave us a little Easter egg. Before we dive into her, Brandon Sklenard put out his new movie called Drop with Megan Fowey. I think you guys probably saw that video of them promoting it, and They looked a little too playful. Like if I was married to someone like that and they were acting like that behind the scenes. But honestly, they're probably trying to drum up headlines. They're trying to drum up a little, ooh, do they like each other behind the scenes? Now I have to see this movie in order to see if they have chemistry. But did anyone even know that this movie came out? Did anyone watch it? Did anyone go see it? Because I think everyone's eyes are just fixated on this lawsuit. Brandon Sklenar continues to get backlash all over his social media for the stance that he took. I mean, Brandon was one of the first people to stand by Blake Lively's side and say, for the love of God, read this. That was the New York Times article. And then he looked like a complete coward when he now has to promote his stuff that's coming out. This is a classic case of Hollywood being so gross and disgusting, because if you truly believe that someone was sexually harassed on set, why would you then backpedal all of your statements? Why would you hide in the dark after you make those statements in support? We've seen Jenny Slate go into hiding. We've seen Brandon Sklenar go into hiding. We've definitely seen Colleen Hoover take down all of her social media posts. And I think it just shows you, like, did you actually believe that and see it for your own eyes from the beginning? Or were you just standing by someone who made some accusation that you decided to put your name on? Either way, it shows us how fickle Hollywood is. And we continue to talk about this. We talked about this of Hollywood quietly canceling Harry and Meghan. It's like Hollywood people only want to stand by the popular opinion. And if that opinion is no longer popular and they know they're going to get hate, then they're just going to switch sides. And now it's different when you find out evidence behind the scenes. Like I once, was a supporter of Meghan Markle and I liked her show at first. And then I was like, I dived deeper and I saw this is not right. Everything that I've uncovered about this case just isn't right with her and the royal family. But I think it shows you, either way, if you stood by someone who made sexual harassment claims that you believed were true, then you need to stand by that person. If you stood by them falsely and just on a whim to support the biggest celebrity in the room and then backpedaled when they're no longer the biggest celebrity in the room, then shame on you either way. Either way, these people are going to continue to have a stain on their careers moving forward because of their inconsistency with just going with the popular opinion at the time. People don't respect that. So while Brandon was promoting that, Jenny Slate was promoting her show, Dying for Sex, on HBO. Colleen Hoover is also apparently moving on with her life, not speaking about this, but I'm also wondering if she's dropping Easter eggs. So in April, she just wrapped filming Verity with Anne Hathaway and Dakota Johnson and Josh Hartnett, and I'm very excited to see that. It's a psychological thriller where a struggling writer uncovers disturbing secrets while ghostwriting for an incapacitated author. Are you, by the way, going to end up watching any of these movies, or are you just going to boycott Colleen Hoover altogether? She also have 2 projects that are currently filming. She posted about both of them, so she might be going back and forth between sets. I'm not quite sure. Regretting You, that's filming in Atlanta, Georgia, starring Allison Williams, McKenna Grace, Scott Eastwood, and Dave Franco, and also Reminders of Him. So it seems like she's just going off. She's like, I'm just not even going to be bothered. I'm going to focus on my films. This one is filming in Calgary and it's set to wrap in June. Now, a question for all the internet sleuths out there is Colleen Hoover giving us a subtle Easter egg as to who she's supporting? By posting this on her Instagram story, she reposted Sophia Acella's song, Everybody Supports Women. Now listen to these lyrics. Everybody supports women until a woman's doing better than you. Everybody wants you to love yourself until you actually do. It was something about her hair, so perfectly fallen. She was nice and smart and funny and got everything she wanted. And she does charity. Isn't that the most obnoxious thing you've heard? Her popularity. She's too pretty for her own good. She's probably self-centered. We hate her and she's nothing. If everybody leaves her, then she had it coming. I don't know. That felt very eerie to me. I'm like, why are you reposting this specific music video? It felt very eerie to me. I was like, why are you reposting this? Are you trying to tell us something? Are you trying to tell us that she had it coming? Like Blake Lively isn't telling the truth. Why did I stand by her? Is Colleen Hoover just eating her words? I think a lot of them right now who came out in support initially and didn't do their own investigation and didn't do their due diligence before publicly backing someone that just supported the A-lister on set, they're just eating their words right now. So it'll be really interesting to continue to follow this case. So some questions I want to leave you with, bringing us back to Preserve. Do you think this was a failed startup or a warning sign that got buried until now? Now, when influencers turn into founders and lifestyle brands hide toxic culture, who holds them accountable? Should this be considered in the lawsuit against Justin Baldoni for how Blake Lively has run toxic workplace cultures? Does this change your opinion on the lawsuit? We welcome friendly and respectable comments below. Let me know all of your thoughts on this. Do you think Colleen Hoover was dropping Easter eggs, or do you think we're just diving a little too deep into this case? If you also want to dive deeper into Taylor Swift's power move, I want you to watch this video next. Subscribe to the channel for more deep dives coming your way. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.
Show me life, show me love, make it change.